2. Sénatrice Clement.
Senator Clement on debate.
The sun hadn't yet come up on September 30th, 2021, when people started to gather at the Portlands. If you were watching from a distance away, you would have seen something quietly momentous happening as the sun rose. The Mohawk Council of Akwesasne hosted City Council and staff, the Cornwall Police Service, and other local officials for a tobacco burn ceremony. We were about 40 people, most of us wearing orange, all of us muted in the dawn light. It's difficult for me to express the emotion of that morning. The gathering was one of promise. This historic meeting was a commitment that we were in this together, that we wouldn't let each other down as we set precedent as equal partners. I want to tell you about the future of the Portlands and its potential, but first, the background. Le port de Cornwall a ouvert ses portes en 19...
The Port of Cornwall opened in 1967 and was used as a space to unload primary materials like cotton and others used by Domtar. It was the spine of our economy for many years.
Started operating the Cornwall port. By 2016, the divesting process had begun, and Akwesasne and Cornwall had signed an historic agreement to co-own 16 acres of land. This partnership was no accident. The federal government insisted on an equal partnership, committing to this divestment only if it was to both communities. Transport Canada endowed $5 million for the remediation of the property. In 2020, two councils broke bread together for the first time in 10 years. As mayor, it was a top priority of mine to bring our two communities closer, and I'm grateful for the friendship with Akwesasne Grand Chief Abram Benedict and for his continued leadership on this ambitious project. By 2021, we had worked in partnership to demolish a derelict building and create a temporary green space that would invite folks from either side of the river to enjoy the Portlands. We launched a public consultation to see how residents in both communities wanted to see the space grow. Not long after, I was appointed to the Senate and resigned as mayor. But my interest in the success of the Portlands has not wavered. There's a call for proposals now to bring engaging community events to the Portlands this summer, and work is progressing on environmental assessments. Yet this past year has been challenging for progress at the Portlands. We always knew that it would be hard and that the solutions for forging ahead would require compromise. This will take time and work and money. And building friendships takes work. Educating communities about truth takes time. And developing a framework for this new partnership takes proper financing. But the challenges inherent in the development of the Portlands are also incredible opportunities. Opportunities to build bonds of friendship among Cornwall and Akwesasne leaders and residents. Opportunities to show the rest of Canada how shared economic development can take place. Opportunities to show the federal government how municipalities can be actors for change in truth and reconciliation. Cette déclaration fait suite à
This statement was triggered by the launching of the inquiry by Senator Simons. She wanted to launch this inquiry about the challenges and opportunities facing Canadian municipalities and their importance of understanding and redefining the relationships between Canada's municipalities and the federal government.
Relevant example than the Portlands, because all politics is local. Yes, local. Nothing has a bigger impact on the daily lives of Canadians than their municipality. If we want to move reconciliation forward in meaningful ways, municipalities must have a seat at the table. Municipalities aren't the only ones looking for recognition. Indigenous communities need a seat at the table too. I'll tell you a story. Back in 2020, cruise ship passengers were quarantined at a conference center in Cornwall. That was back when we were saying coronavirus and not COVID-19. The community felt blindsided. This was long before we understood, right, what COVID-19 was, and residents wanted information and answers. And after hosting a press conference, I met with an Indigenous leader and spoke about feeling disrespected by the federal government. And she responded, "Welcome to my world." In launching this inquiry, Senator Simons argued that municipalities urgently need fiscal and political resources to lead us to a more just, prosperous, and creative future. Her inquiry has prompted statements from my distinguished colleagues. Le Sénateur Éric Forêt.
Senator Eric Forêt talked about the evolution of the relationship between the federal and municipal relationship and that other changes are needed. Senator Omidvar showed how cities are well placed to create innovative solutions and local solutions to national and global problems.
These are the starting point for our identity. We take pride in where we come from. The health and prosperity of our towns and cities matter today more than ever. And Senator Sorensen, a former mayor too, spoke to the gap between what municipalities are expected to do and the funding that they have access to meet those needs. Le sénateur Ravalia a souligné le
Senator Ravalia highlighted the unique status of municipalities in Newfoundland and Labrador and the need to support them with their administrative burden. Senator Cormier spoke about a theme that is of interest to all of us. Senator Cormier raised a theme that is of interest to all of us, the role of municipalities in the protection and promotion of official languages.
Municipalities are often small, under-resourced, and occupied by daily tasks like snow removal, scheduling ice times, delivering transit services, and managing goose poop along the St. Lawrence River. You wouldn't believe how much time I spent as mayor talking about goose poop and about a million other issues. And yet all day, every day, municipalities are leaders, and they should be recognized, resourced, and supported as such. What Cornwall and Akwesasne are attempting to do together at the Portlands is unheard of in Canada. Co-ownership by a First Nation and a municipality of strategic waterfront property is a unique approach that should bring economic and social benefits to both communities. During consultations, the public's imaginations ran wild, and it was clear that they wanted to make the space their own. They wanted an accessible area that included boardwalks, green spaces, an opportunity for artists and vendors to bring the community together. There was a strong interest in connections with the water, with fishing, boating, swimming, canoeing, a pier, a dock, another marina. Most agreed that the project was extremely important to both Cornwall and Akwesasne. They said the Portlands project could add vibrancy to our area, bring in tourists, and offer expanded public access to the waterfront. There is so much work to do, not only to bring residents' vision to life, but also to finish developing how this partnership will work on a day-to-day basis. Tasks like putting up a sign and coordinating tax payments and completing an environmental assessment can be challenging. Luckily, Akwesasne and Cornwall are up to the challenge. In divesting the Portlands to these communities, the federal government entrusted us with a huge responsibility. It was as though they were saying to us, "So let's see what you can do." I'm proud that Akwesasne and Cornwall were trusted to take a huge step in economic development and, more importantly, in reconciliation. I hope that together they lay the groundwork for more municipalities to be able to take the lead. If I could redefine the relationship between municipalities and the federal government, if I could wave my magic wand, I would do two things. First of all, I would want Canada to trust its municipalities to make great strides in all aspects like climate change, migration, and social issues, but especially in reconciliation, that it provides sufficient funding to the municipalities and offer opportunities like the one I described in creating dialogue between municipalities and First Nations. When things get difficult, because they always do, municipalities want to be treated as equal partners, to be consulted and considered during strategic planning, implementation, and beyond. Municipalities want communication. Talk to them. Give them a seat at the table, and you may be surprised by their contributions. Thank you. Merci. Nyawa.